I'm John Sargent, and welcome to Argumental, the show where the hottest names in comedy debate the biggest issues facing mankind. Is Russia a threat to Britain? Has the welfare state had its day? And can you catch salmonella from an Easter egg? Here to argue such burning issues and others like them are our teams. In the red corner, with Marcus Brigstock, it's Ardal O'Hanlon. And joining Rufus Hound in the blue corner, please welcome Mark Watson. OK, in round one, we debate a big issue that affects us all. Let's start with someone whose public approval rating is almost as high as mine. Barack Hussein Obama. He's the smooth-talking, sharp-dressing, bush-bashing 44th President of the United States. A bank-bailing, stimulus-planning purveyor of liberty and redemption to a crumbling civilization. Is it any wonder they're already calling him the best thing to come out of America since the Happy Meal? But the issue I want the teams to argue over is this. Barack Obama can only disappoint us. Proposing this statement on behalf of the red team, it's Marcus Brigstock.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Barack Obama. Who amongst us doesn't know this man's name? He said, "Yes, we can." And it was good enough for the American people. It's good enough for Bob the Builder, you know? Americans are easily convinced. Expectations are too high. That's why he's going to end up disappointing us. I don't want him to, but it's what's going to happen. When expectations get too high, we get disappointed. I give you Tim Henman. An entire hill named after that know-nothing hump. Every year, come on, Tim! Out. Nothing. This is what happens. Expectations go too high. In your own lives, New Year's Eve, every single year. 3, 2, 1. So, when you're back to work then? Not till the 5th, you know, what with the 2nd being a Friday. It's disappointing. These things happen. He's missed some great opportunities. He's already disappointed. When he delivered his speech on Inauguration Day, right? He had over 1 billion people watching around the world. A magnificent moment. And he said, it's time we pick ourselves up, dust ourselves off, and begin again the work of change. And missed the golden opportunity at the end of that speech with all those people watching to go, right then, pub, I think. But it doesn't matter, ladies and gentlemen. We will be disappointed, but we're British. We crave disappointment. That's what happens. That's who we are. And that's fine. We shouldn't be ashamed of that. We crave disappointment. If Barack Obama flew over here and took us out in a private jet, wined us, dined us, took us back, paid for the babysitter, said goodnight, and then disappeared away, we would still say, bit disappointing, to be honest. Chatting to him over dinner, turns out he's never seen a single episode of Heartbeat. Can't trust him. Barack Obama, he can't help it, will disappoint us. Ladies and gentlemen, please vote with the red team. Thank you.
OK, next up, opposing Marcus and in support of President Obama, it's Mark Watson.
Yes! We can! Yes, we can!
We can. Yes, I can. Ladies and gentlemen, what you just heard was quite a good summary of the British mentality in some ways. Oh, he looks so perfect, he's bound to be disappointing. And in a way, I agree with Marcus. It's best to manage your expectations. You shouldn't hope for too much. New Year is a good example. Even Christmas is a good example. That's why I was brought up to expect bad Christmases. I remember coming home from school one time, my dad said, would you rather Father Christmas didn't exist or your mum was dead? I said, well, I'd rather Father Christmas didn't exist. Right, he said, good news. And there you are, you see. Barack Obama is a remarkable man. I mean, Marcus, for example, cited his speech as a missed opportunity. I thought Barack's inauguration speech was an astonishing example of the nerve and the coolness of this man. I mean, as he said, everyone in the world is watching. Imagine how nerve-wracking that is. And also, imagine how tempting to do something really silly. Like the moment where he said, my fellow Americans, people of the world, I'm not sure I wouldn't have got my cock out. Like, I'm not saying it would have been a good political move. Michelle would have been very annoyed, but just for that 1 second of joy when you know everyone in the world is going, oh, look at that, right? Barack manfully resisted the enormous, what they call the cock temptation. And that's why he is a great man, and this is also why I'm not the president of the USA. Well, there's loads of reasons I didn't even enter this year. Because I knew that Barack was the man for the job. I was prepared to step aside selflessly for the good of the world. But I think it's very British to think, oh, he's too good. No, he's sinister. He's too perfect. Look at the greatest, or certainly most successful politician we've ever had, Churchill. Churchill won the bloody Second World War. A couple of months later, what did we do? We de-elected him. Someone else won the election. How British is that? That'll teach him to beat the Nazis. He's too clever by half, that one. He's up his own... You know, that's our mentality. We want to knock people down. I think for once, we shouldn't knock people down. Yes, he may seem too good to be true, but I believe, for once, this is the real thing. Ladies and gentlemen, please vote with me. Vote in favour of optimism, not disappointment. Barack Obama will be a great president. Vote the blue team. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. So, Rufus and Ardal, do you want to join in on this one?
I would actually like to say something. I would like to challenge my filibustering friend over there, Mr. Watson. You have bought it. You've bought it hook, line and sinker, this lie. This lie that anybody could do anything, ever. Now, there is another point, and it hasn't been fully addressed. It is the fact that he is black, and...
Is he?
Well, he's only a bit black. You see, this is the thing. He's a huge disappointment to the African-American population because he's half white. I'm nearly as black as he is. Now,
Well, you're halfway there.
Well, he's only 50% more black than I am, so...
It's still a start, though, to be fair.
Well, he's still great, but I mean, you know...
I can't believe that after all the prejudice he's had to conquer to get this far, he's now got people complaining he's not black enough. I mean...
I don't want him to be disappointing. I would love for him to be able to deliver everything that he's come up with, but he won't be able to because he is surrounded by Americans.
He won't be able to. America is a huge, rampaging rogue elephant, and he is a gnat. A tiny little lovely gnat trying to ride the rogue elephant.
Yeah, right, OK. I'll buy this, but do you know how many gnats it would take to stop that elephant in its tracks? It's not one, it's not two,
7.
It's absolutely... It's 7. It's 7. It's 7.
So your argument's based on the fact that Barack's not really black and he's really a gnat?
That's part of our argument, yes. He's a mixed-race gnat, but in a good way.
Anybody in this room, in this studio audience, who's ever tried to organise a birthday party will know what we're up against here. If you have got a group of friends together and you say, what have you got planned? And it's not really a great deal, but you say, well, it's going to be at the local pub. If everybody picks themselves up and says, do you know something? We'll make a night of it. That can be one of the greatest nights of your life, but it takes collective belief. A few naysayers going, oh, it's not really going to be much of anything, and the whole thing pissed away. So, you can either vote for the red team and have your birthdays ruined, metaphorically, forever. Or you can, for once in your life, find a bit of love in your heart. Look for hope, look for blue. Can we do it? Yes, we can. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. That's what we're all about here.
Very impressive. But I have noticed a certain tendency to start talking like that until eventually people start following. It's a technique Hitler used, Hound. It worked for him, it's not going to work for you.
All right.
That's not what's going to happen here tonight.
Thank you, gentlemen. So, can Barack Obama only disappoint us? Hold up your red card if you think it was Marcus and Ardal, and the blue one for Rufus and Mark. OK, vote now. So that looks like a victory for the blue team. Well done, Mark and Rufus. Barack Obama is a Hawaiian Kenyan, which makes for a great president, but a terrible pizza. Our next round is called Flip-Flop, where we find out how well our teams can argue with themselves. I'm going to give one member of each team a statement which they must support until they hear this sound. At which point, they must perform a U-turn and argue against it. Then flip-flop every time I press the buzzer. Rufus, you're up first. I'd like you to start off by arguing that the Great British Pub has had its day. Off you go.
Of course the Great British Pub has had its day, ladies and gentlemen. It belongs to a time where men after work would pop in for 7 or 8 light ales, marinate in cirrhosis of the liver and lung cancer, a game of billiards, a couple of rounds of darts before popping home for a home-cooked meal and a bit of light wife battery. They were simpler times. They were happier times. But what we do now is we drink in a different way. We drink socially. We drink with our partners. We like to go out and enjoy it with our families. The Great British Pub wasn't really about that. It was about having a castle that kept women and people we didn't know out. Whereas bars these days, big glass frontage, everyone's welcome in. Listen to the music, have a dance. What's that? You want a beer that tastes of strawberries? That's acceptable now. But it shouldn't be. Because men are no longer men. We've been reduced to mere eunuchs, where women have stripped us of the things that make us proud to be men, the ability to drink heavily and not care whether they have an orgasm. But we should care. Right, ladies? Who cares what you think? I'm hungry for love. Of a hot dinner, you bitch! And this ironing hasn't been done either. I'll be at the pub until it is. And that is where I will once again realise that it's not what it once was, that the Great British Pub has indeed had its day.
Thank you, Rufus. Marcus and Ardal, is it all over for the British Pub?
It's hard to know, really. I mean, the last time I went to a pub was on Rufus's birthday, and the place was heaving with naive optimists. You could barely move. The place full of thoughtless, gullible morons. Determined to have a good night because his rallying cry had gone up again.
And, am I right, it was a brilliant night!
Look at them, getting excited about an invitation they haven't even had.
OK, Ardal, you're up next. I'd like you to begin by arguing that sex is overrated. Off you go.
Ladies and gentlemen, I don't ever remember having sex, and I'm glad because it is clearly overrated. I'm sure every one of you will agree. It is a vile and sordid activity. Anyone who commits sex is surely evil, and they should be shunned and named and shamed and stared at for a very long time until they stop, so as somebody else can join in. I think that sex is depraved, and I think once you start having sex, it leads you down the slippery slope to further depravity, such as cannibalism. And nobody really wants that. Although the occasional nibble wouldn't do you any harm, I suppose. Because let's face it, it's huge fun, isn't it? More than anything else. It's a feast of fun for animals. Not humans. It's something that animals engage in. It's a furtive, grubby, disgusting activity. It also is very sore. It's very, very painful. It hurts them. Sometimes it happens unexpectedly in their lives. They're just grazing away and the next thing... There's no lubrication, no sweet talk. I mean, it's just... It's terrible for them. It's something that I would love to try. But only for a little while, because I know I would end up in hell. And...
Well done, Ardal. Personally, I think sex is overrated. Call me old-fashioned, but I prefer a romantic evening, as I explained to Boy George when I tried to unchain myself from his radiator. OK, time for the studio audience to decide who flipped and who flopped. Vote now. So, a red majority there. Commiserations to Rufus Hound, but congratulations, Ardal O'Hanlon. We have to take a break now, but we'll be back in a few minutes. Don't go away. Welcome back to Argumental, the show that provokes more verbal conflict than Sharon Osbourne in a hall of mirrors. Right, it's on to our popular culture round now, where tonight the debate is all about this TV classic. Yes, it's Doctor Who, the time-travelling, Dalek-dodging saviour of tea-time drama. Like Anne Robinson, every few years he appears with a new face. Gillian McKeith, he's not really a doctor, and like Harold Shipman, he exterminates those who can't climb stairs. But the statement I want you to argue is this: Doctor Who is rubbish. First up, it's Rufus Hound.
Yeah, that's right. Doctor Who is rubbish. It may sound like a hard thing to argue, what with it being universally feted as one of the finest examples of science fiction. But all science fiction is terrible. Being the best science fiction franchise is like being the best Westlife tribute act. All right, you're the best at it, but it's nothing to be proud of. So, understand, Doctor Who isn't just rubbish, it's the king of rubbish, the bummy cherry on a shitty cake. And that is typically British. When Americans invent a superhero, he's a man of steel. When the Russians reinvent themselves as superheroes, they're men of steel. When the British invent a superhero, we get a 900-year-old doctor with a penchant for tweed and a noisy screwdriver. And what does this decrepit old man do with his powers? Bundle 18-year-old girls into a phone box. It's bigger on the inside. Now, strip down to your bra and pants. I'm not sure about this. Trust me, I'm a doctor. See, what we want is stories, and all the great stories can be summarised in a single sentence. Robinson Crusoe. Shipwreck victim has racial awakening before rescue. Canterbury Tales. 25 people on a Kentish package holiday have a chat. The Bible. Magic carpenter says love each other, then dies. Or does he? Whereas 4 series into the new Doctor Who, and the nearest you get to brevity is this. Doctor and Rose fall in love, but war between Daleks and Cybermen hurls Rose into parallel universe. Heartbroken Doctor then winds up meeting another son of Gallifrey who attempts to rule the Earth by importing souls from the end of all time, only to have the citizens of Earth shatter the spell by collectively all thinking of the Doctor at the same time. I mean, reverse is what happened and no one remembers, apart from Catherine Tate, who pitches up and helps the Doctor smash the Dalek's planetary supercomputer, bitch slap Davros, clone the Doctor so that he and Rose can live happily ever after, and he has memories of her, so is erased for Catherine Tate, leaving the Doctor fly about the dark pockets of space alone once more. Doctor Who is complicated, it's pointless. And considering the Doctor has 2 hearts beating in just one time, together forever, till the end of time, it's clearly also for Phil Collins. So, in many ways, a vote for the red team marks you out as a fan of Phil Collins. Everybody else, let's call them good people, will realise that Doctor Who is rubbish and should vote for the blue team. Thank you.
Right, well done. Next up, opposing Rufus but supporting Doctor Who, it's Ardal O'Hanlon.
Ladies and gentlemen, I am upset and angry. I might not look it, but trust me, inside I'm hopping mad like an angry hen because it pains me to hear a man called Rufus say that Doctor Who is rubbish. A man who looks and sounds exactly like a Doctor Who villain, doesn't he? Doctor Who is not just the greatest TV show ever made in the history of television. It is so much more than that. For example, it provides employment to Welsh people, and that's not a bad thing, is it? It keeps them in Wales for a start, and it keeps them out of harm's way. There's a little Welsh person in there at the moment. Hello. Yes, hello. Now, one of the reasons why Doctor Who is not rubbish, without Doctor Who, without this fantastic programme, and we've seen so many incarnations of Doctor Who over the year, without Doctor Who, the world would have been destroyed many times over, wouldn't it? Now, I know you might argue, Rufus might argue, that it is merely fiction. But consider this. What if there are aliens and they happen to see Doctor Who? They don't know it's fiction, do they? No. I don't think so. They're not versed in our storytelling ways or our human television conventions. They don't know about that. They're going to think twice before launching an attack, aren't they? So it's not just great telly, it's a potential deterrent against alien invasion. Ladies and gentlemen, it is also wholesome family entertainment. I know a lot of television is rubbish. I know the Doctor Who spin-offs are rubbish, and that the fella, John Sillyman, he's rubbish, but... and he should be tranquilised immediately for his own good. But, ladies and gentlemen, Doctor Who is not rubbish. It's got the best theme tune of all time, hasn't it? It's even better than that, but it's sadly unhummable by a human mouth. And it is also the only song ever written for the wind and a door slightly ajar. And that's rare. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I hope I've convinced you that Doctor Who is far from being rubbish, but in fact it is very, very good. It is great. Surveys have shown time and time again that people who watch Doctor Who are healthy, well-adjusted people with very good skin and lots of friends. Whereas people who don't watch Doctor Who, who think Doctor Who is rubbish, tend to be very bitter people who grow resentful little goatees and copious amounts of ass hair. So, ladies and gentlemen, please believe me when I tell you that Doctor Who is not rubbish.
Mark and Marcus, do you want to say anything in support of your teammates?
You talked about the theme tune. It's brilliant. Only that theme tune, that powerful theme tune, could mean that Doctor Who could get away with some of the crap beginnings they've done. Dun 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 dun. So excited, cut to a shot of Swindon, no one minds. Genius. This is a programme that survived not only Sylvester McCoy, but also Peter Davison, and is still on.
Although, in fairness, with a sort of 20-year interlude.
Yeah.
So
I think what happened in this country during that 20-year interlude.
Exactly.
There was a boom. And look where that boom has got us today.
Doctor Who is rubbish, and that's not to say it can't be enjoyed, but it is rubbish. I mean, it's never going to be, you know, on the great sort of TV programmes of all time. It's just...
You just don't give up, do you? No. I mean, look at this object here before us, the Dalek. It is an icon. It is one of the most familiar objects in the world. It's magnificent. Who would have thought a kind of an oversized, glorified salt cellar with blisters would be the stuff of our nightmares? It haunted our dreams. Without Daleks and the other creatures and aliens and monsters created by the Doctor Who team, without all of that, we would not have been nightmares when we were children.
That's right.
So you're a big...
swap seats with you?
Yeah, all right. You're a big fan of Daleks. Yes?
Well,
Yeah, you probably think this one's not black enough.
No.
OK, thank you all. So, is Doctor Who rubbish? Once again, the studio audience will decide who made the best case. It's a red card for Marcus and Ardal and a blue one for Rufus and Mark. Vote now. I can now tell you it looks like a win for the Blues. Well done, Rufus and Mark.
Recount! Recount! That was never a victory for the Blues.
Yes, it was.
No, it wasn't.
All right, just settle and enjoy it. OK.
That's horseshit. But Hound's a cheat and a liar. Roll your bloody sleeve up.
No.
Roll your sleeve up.
No.
I think now we've won the vote, you should probably show them.
Won the bloody vote. I've never seen anything like it. What deceit. This is what we're dealing with, everybody.
I actually have a Dalek tattooed on my arm. I bloody love Doctor Who. How can you bastards have voted for that? It was a lacklustre argument at best. It teaches us how to love and recognise our shared humanity.
It's all right, mate.
All right, now
That's
look,
politics.
steady on there, Rufus. Let's not get too emotional.
I just hope a roundabout Star Trek doesn't come off or I have to take my trousers off.
Show him your Klingons.
Saturday Night Telly is dominated by Doctor Who and Bruce Forsyth. That's because they appeal to all ages, have glamorous assistants, and every week we hold our breath hoping they'll both survive to the end of the show. Time now for the final round and a last chance for our teams to show just how argumental they really are. I'm going to show them a series of images. All they have to do is suggest an argument to go with them. Here's your first one.
This is an argument that absolutely everyone knows the moves to YMCA.
It is, in fact, an argument for the royal family not working for a low-cost airline.
It's an argument against listening to one of the Queen's exaggerated fishing stories.
OK, let's move on.
That's an argument in favour of believing your sat-nav when it says turn around where possible.
Is it an argument against the Turkmenistan low-budget remake of The Italian Job?
It's certainly an argument against letting Richard Hammond do the school run.
Let's move on.
This is just an argument against the continuation of civilization, basically. This is an argument in favour of us all just saying that's the end.
Is it actually an argument against Bananarama going back on the road again?
I think it's an argument supporting the idea that you should always carry a snorkel if you're going on the pull in Texas.
On we go.
I think we're going to struggle to find something funny about that.
I'm pretty sure I know what this argument is for. It's an argument... it's actually an argument against Heston Blumenthal doing the catering.
Certainly an argument for washing your fruit before you eat it. Look, that... got a small monkey on it.
Sorry, there's a what?
There's a small monkey on it. Have another look. You see it now?
Oh, blimey!
Is no one going to do something about cocks here?
I think it's an argument that Hello magazine paid too much for the Rooney baby pictures.
OK, that's it. So for the final time, it's down to our studio audience to decide who made the best case. Vote now. So I can tell you that the red team have won the round, which means this week's winners are the red team. Well done, Marcus Brigstocke and Ardal O'Hanlon. Commiserations to Rufus Hound and Mark Watson. That's all we've got time for. Good night.